Boom! Your favorite tech YouTuber from Dubai is back on your screens. This is the first video in a brand new series that I'm starting off. I answering your questions. This is Ask EMKWAN. Welcome back to the channel, guys and girls. You're watching me, EMKWAN, here on EMKWAN Reviews. I've been wanting to start this for a while, and the whole idea of this new series is once a week I will be answering your questions, and they can be questions related to anything. Personal questions, and where I live, how to get a job here in Dubai, all the way through to questions about technology, watches, cars, whatever you want answering, I will try and answer those. So leave any of your questions in the comment sections down below of this video. You can also find me on social. If you have a question, just use the hashtag AskEMKWAN and I should pick those up. I might even give you a shout out here on the channel as well. So since today is the first video, what I've decided to do is actually take a question that I got in. This is a question from someone called Vinod. He's based here in Dubai. He's actually a student and he has a very interesting tech related question. So let's get this answered. First, I love your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Vinod. Without you guys, none of these videos would be possible. So thank you to all of you. I'm a student at university in Dubai and I want to buy a new iPhone. Which one do you think is worth it? I do have a limited budget, but don't know if I should spend more to get the latest. I contacted Vinod back. I asked him if he is specifically looking for a new iPhone or just a new smartphone, and he said that he wants a new iPhone. And then I asked him about his requirements, the top 3 most important things to him, and he mentioned battery life, screen size, and something that he can use for a few years. So this is a dilemma that many people will face, particularly with this year's announcements of the brand new iPhones, because Apple not only gave us 2 new iPhones that we were kind of expecting, but they threw a 3rd one into the mix to kind of complicate it. I spoke to Vinod and I asked him whether or not he would consider the larger iPhone XS Max, and he said that the larger screen was too big for his requirements. He wanted something that was smaller than the XS Max. So that moves the XS Max out of the equation, and we are left with essentially 3. Get the older iPhone X. The second option is to get the iPhone XS, put more money into his budget to go up to that, or get the iPhone XR. So those are the options that we have to play with. I was there at this year's announcements of the new iPhone, and I remember when the new iPhone XR was announced, it got a lot of people very interested because essentially you had an iPhone which was at a lower price point than the iPhone XS and XS Max, but it still had a bunch of really cool features that you would find in the iPhone XS and the XS Max, and that kind of gives you a new option to consider, particularly if you have that limited budget. Look, I'm one of those people that believes that you can save a lot of money if you are clear about exactly what you want. It's always nice to get the latest, the greatest, the brand new high-end, top-end device, but let's be frank, most people might not necessarily need that. And particularly if you're a student, you've got other costs that you really should be focused on. The iPhone X and the XS, if you group them both together, have reasonable battery life. But since battery life is really, really important to you, the iPhone XR is the one that has the better battery life. I get an incredible, close to a full day's battery life out of this, more than I was getting with my iPhone X. On top of that, as far as battery life is concerned, you still have wireless charging. You have that glass back panel, you can just connect it to a wireless Qi enabled charger. You are still going to get that function and feature. So you don't need to pay extra to get the iPhone XS or the XS Max to get that wireless charge. Now, another way that the iPhone XR has incredible battery life is going on to your point number 2, but it's also another factor, which is that LCD display. So the iPhone XR has a 6.1 inch display, and it sits in between the iPhone X, XS, and the iPhone XS Max. The iPhone X and XS will have a 5.8 inch OLED display, and I'll talk about that in a moment, and the iPhone XS Max will have a 6.5 inch display. Another important point to note, because I'm sure you've probably seen reviews already where people talk about this, is that new display. So the display on the iPhone XR is a liquid retina display. By no means is this a poor display, because there's been a bunch of people making videos who probably didn't even handle the device before they made those videos. Is it a bad display? Hell no. Is it better than the display on the 10 and the 10S? No. I think if you are looking for an OLED display which has that punchiness and that vibrancy, then yes, the display on those devices is better. But the display on the iPhone XR has to be, in my opinion, one of the better LCD displays that you can currently get. Now, Vinod did mention that he's coming from an older iPhone 6S. So for you to bump up from the 6S to the XR, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with this display. It's also interesting because it's a larger display than the 10S, so it offers you more space. Point number 3 for you was using or buying a smartphone that you can use for a few years. And that's the interesting thing about the XR, because the XR has the guts of essentially the 10S and the 10S Max. You still get that A12 Bionic chip, you still get that neural engine, you still get all that fluidity when using iOS 12 and the range of functions and features, things like Memojis and the whole range of other cool features for iOS 12. To top it up, it still has the front true depth camera module that you would find on the 10S and 10S Max. That means that not only can you unlock it with Face ID, but you can also use that front-facing camera for portrait photos and the AI capabilities with things like Memojis. One of the other things to consider, the camera, because a camera function on the iPhone XR performs a camera function in a different way to what you'd find with the 10S and the 10S Max. And again, the 10S and 10S Max will offer that dual camera setup for you. This is still a 12 megapixel OIS enabled camera, and it's gonna give you some incredible shots. If you wanna take portrait pictures of humans, then you'll be able to do that with this. It does it differently from the iPhone XS and the XS Max, but it still does an incredible job. As far as recording video is concerned, I mean, it does a great job with this camera as well. There aren't very many downsides and limitations when you compare it with the budget of the iPhone XR, and I think that is an important thing to consider. Is it worth spending more money to get, let's say, the dual camera? I mean, can you justify that over getting something that fits within your budget? So all in all, I mean, my opinion, and I'd love to know your opinion, leave it in the comment section down below. But before you do, any of you Android fanboys, just bear in mind, remember, Vinod was interested in an iPhone. Right guys, I'd love to know your opinion. I'd love to know what you think. Leave them in the comment section down below. And remember, if you have a question that you want answering by me about anything, then again, leave that in a comment section down below and I will get round to doing that. That's it from me for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, smash that like button. If you're new around here, join us here on EMKWAN Reviews by hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification. I'm EMKWAN. This has been episode 1 of Ask EMKWAN. Peace and blessings.